seen a channel before. So everyone channels a little bit differently. It's not like I'm talking to you now necessarily, like someone like an Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks, or Lee Harris, who's been doing it forever, might come through a little more like this. We're in the beginning stages. So I've got great news for you, and I've got bad news for you. The great news for you is you're here on the first time I'm doing this in front of people. The bad news is you're here the first time I'm doing this in front of people, right? And that's kind of, we're gonna see together what this is all about. So my process right now, what I'm doing is I sit at home and I do a meditation, which I was back there doing in my little thing, and I've been super excited for it, so like, who knows what that took. And then I just listen. And we'll talk about that a little bit as we get into a Q&A at the end if you have questions about it, but I'm a musician, and when I write music, I hear the idea of the song in my head. I sit at a piano and I, no, oh, there it is. Oh, there's the chords, they move, no, they don't move there, there they go. So the piano helps me manifest what I'm hearing in my head. And this is absolutely no different. It's just instead of music, I'm hearing words. And the voice is sort of like my own voice, but a little bit different. And the words are, I mean, I'm a lot more sweary than they are. So it's a little churchier, it's a little different, but with any channel, when you bring through any type of higher consciousness, it's stuck with the filter that you have. So the words that are coming out, if you've sat with me, you'll hear some very similar phrases coming out because they're pulling from my lexicon of language. So I don't know anything truly medical, so if a word comes through that would be a medical thing, I would probably get stuck there. But that's kind of how it works. So as we're getting together today, I thought I would start by just saying, how did we get here? Why are we all sitting here? And first of all, thank you so much for coming here this Sunday afternoon and just seeing what this is all about. Most of you probably know me as a tarot reader. You sat with me or you've worked with me in that capacity. And tarot is about telling a story, so I thought I'd tell a story to figure out how we're getting here. So we're going to go with the Wayback Machine. This is going to go back to the fall of 1984. I'm a freshman at Coe College in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I'm sitting on the far side of the room. The Nature of Science course is required for all freshmen when he walked into the room. Now, I know this gets like I'm making this up, but I swear. It happened just like this, at least in my memory. It was like the lights dimmed, the spotlight shone on him, and a group of background singers or angels went, ah! And it's the first time I remember a voice that I would not consider my own go rushing through my head. I know you. Well, I wouldn't meet him for a couple more months. These friends of mine were having this friend of theirs who wasn't resonating with his roommate, and I wasn't resonating with mine. And so after a brief conversation with David, he moved in and became roommates. And soon after that, best friends. And soon after that, boyfriends. Now, this is the 1980s, and neither one of us could be gay. Thus began the emotional roller coaster ride of the ups and downs of young lows. We both tried to figure out who and how we loved. After college, I moved back here to the Twin Cities, and David moved to New York City to pursue his dreams of being a daytime TV star. And soon after that, David moved to the Twin Cities. His hopes of stardom crushed like sands through the hourglass. So were the days of our lives. I'll always remember that spring day in 1991, we walked around Bidi-Makaska, and he was engaged to a woman, I was in a self-destructive relationship, and we talked about running away together, the West Coast, starting over. It was one of those soul-deep conversations. The fall of 1991 found me honing my skills as a food service manager at Dayton's Southdale Marketplace Foods. It was Black Friday, and as we were preparing food for those people searching for that perfect gift at the perfect price, the phone rang, and it was for me. It was my mom. It turns out David was killed the night before in a car accident on Thanksgiving night, returning home from visiting his family in Iowa. And my head exploded. I remember driving home on 35W north to my apartment in Uptown screaming, no, no, no. I couldn't wrap my head around it. Friends who came to see me said that half my face was purple with grief. The funeral was a blur. I was a pallbearer. I don't remember, was it snowing? Unclear. After the funeral, I remember being in that same kitchen at Dayton Southdale making egg salad, thinking, you are off exploring the universe and I am here making egg salad. What is wrong with that picture? That began my quest to understand this thing called life and death. What is this thing called God, and why would it take someone I love so much at such a young age? That didn't make any sense to me. I dug into the Bible first, of course, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Quran, the Tao Te Ching, the Bhaktividas, all the things, trying to figure out what was this thing about life and death. It didn't make sense to me. I mean, I knew people died. I mean, old people and sick people, but not young people. I stumbled across books on near-death experiences, and that fascinated me, and so I dug into that. That quest led me to a woman by the name of Echo Bodine. We're sitting in her center now. It was one of the first books I read on spirituality that began a quest. I took a psychic development class with Echo and a number of years ago, 5 or 6 years ago now. And that opened up a lot of doors. During this whole process, and at the time David died, a person swooped into my life that I would consider to be a channel, which is what I'm doing now. I didn't call it that then, but this individual would get what we called dream visions. And he would write them down and give them to me, and he said he never understood them. And they espoused a philosophy that he didn't espouse. He was a recovering Catholic, formerly in seminary, but this was a very new age, what I consider new age philosophy, but it was very much what I would call channeling. However, that gift morphed into something that was manipulating me into staying in a relationship that was not my calling. In fact, the second voice I ever recall going through my head was the very first time I met him, and I was walking, I was at Musicland Yorktown. I was an assistant manager, and I had just met the new staff at the new store, and I went walking to the back room, and a voice came screaming through my head, "I will not date this man." I thought that was very odd, because A, he's not my type, and B, I'm in a relationship. Only lasted 15 years, because I'm a slow learner, right? But lots of things were all around this gift of channeling. Along with Echo, I met a gentleman by the name of Thomas John. If you've ever had a chance to sit with him, he's a phenomenal psychic medium. And my first phone reading with him, he brought through David. Now, this is like 30 years after David died, and there's no way, the internet wasn't around, there's no way he could have understood what any of the things that he was telling me were. There was proof that there was life after death. I wanted to do that because I felt the healing I never even knew I needed at that point. So I set off to be a psychic medium. So years went by. I wasn't just like, I don't see dead people, I don't hear things. I'm like, whatever. I finally decided about 5 years ago, 3 to 5 years ago, to hire somebody to kick my ass. I hired a gentleman by the name of Greg Friedman, who's a radio host out of Laguna Beach, California. He's a shaman, works heavily with Native American tribes, and I hired him to be my mentor. And I said, I want to be a psychic medium. He said, okay, slow down, hold your horses. I said, well, I need to figure out what my modality is. And I told him about music and how I hear sounds and I use something like that. I want something to help me bring those wisps of ideas down and to manifest them. And he said, well, what about tarot cards? I said, why not? So I began in my journey as a tarot card reader. If you've sat with me, you know how that gift has evolved over time. The interesting thing is when Thomas John did that very first reading for me, he told me, I think you're a channel, you channel higher energies, and he went on. It was just a brief little statement. And long about, was it February or March, Greg said, by the way, I've just been kidding you. You're not really a tarot reader, you're a channel. So you got to figure out how to be a channel. And I went, well, shit. I don't know what that means. I mean, I've seen him. But that's not it. But then I started thinking about when I'm doing a reading, if you've ever read with me, you'll notice I'll look off to the side and I'll just keep talking, right? And what I'm doing is I'm hearing something and I'm bringing it through. You can disagree with me, and if it's not right, I'll say, nope, that's not what I'm getting. And I'm like, that's sort of the same thing. So that's really how we ended up here today, this is the next logical iteration of what I've been doing. So what is channeling? Great question. It's bringing through a voice not my own, we'll use those words, with higher consciousness. In your hands, and if you don't have it, please be sure you grab one on the way out, is the 60 Days of Channeling. So I started by taking a class with a gentleman by the name of Lee Harris online, and I started out writing them down, and he walks you through, because I'm like, my mentor's like, you gotta do this, you gotta do a live event, and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing, and we went through that whole banter. So I took a class, and how do I do this? And started writing, and then began writing stuff down, and what was coming through was kind of cool. And then I'm like, okay, well, I've got to do this thing in front of people, so I probably should figure out how to start talking. So then I would ask myself a question, and then I would record what I got, and I would write it down, and I put them all on TikTok as more dramatic representations, right? But then I started just not writing a question. I just started letting stuff come through. Holy shit, are there cool things that are coming through. Some of it is the same language from what my ex brought through. Some of it is completely different, but it's a different twist on it. It all ties in with the masters that have walked before. In fact, they even address that. the point they'll say there's nothing new coming through. It's just a different way of framing it, because the truth is still the truth. We are all connected. We are all part of source energy. We are all part of love. We are energetic beings here creating our reality. So what do you do with that? What it does is it gives you practical ways to look at that and apply it to your life. So that is kind of what this day is about. So what I'm going to ask of you is, I have no idea what they're going to talk about. I have kind of an idea. It sort of gave me a little precursor back there. We're going to talk about energy, I'm sure. We're going to talk about love, I'm sure. We're going to talk about manifestation, I'm sure, just because that's come through a lot. Everybody should learn the phrase, energy goes where attention flows. Learn that now. They say it almost every day. But that's a really important lesson. I don't know what's going to happen. So what will happen is I will do a little prayer. We'll do a centering prayer. Actually, we're going to start by intoning the pitch G, which is the pitch for the throat chakra, which is communication. And we're going to open that fucker right up. And then I'm going to go into meditation. I'm going to sound some singing bowls, because I do that every day because I spend a lot of money on them and I really like them. So, and that's a really important thing too, is this is my ritual to get ready. It's not anything divinely inspired. It's just like, I like that. I like that too. Even the scent you're smelling is copal, which is a Native American ethically sourced resin that they use to bring prayers to heaven. Why? Because I like it. It's not anything else other than that. And one of the things that I know, at least I bring through as Paul David, is everybody in this world is making this stuff up, all these rituals, all the prayers and all that, somebody just thought was a cool idea, right? And so you get to make your own version, whatever resonates with you is there. I will channel for a little bit. Usually it's about 15 minutes, might be a half hour, might be an hour tonight. I have no idea what they're going to bring through. And then what we're going to do is I had you bring some questions or ideas just as a way of, let's see if this works, right? I don't know if they'll answer them. We will not get to all of them. We might not get to any of them. They might bring through no answers. I don't know. We'll find out together. This is a lot of just a fuck around and find out kind of day. Fair?